Stack day for the Texans. Demeco Ryans speaks, or does he? Bobby Slowik speaks as well, and CJ Stroud lets us know what in the heck is Houston Texans football. Let's go inside the locker room.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the locker room on YouTube. You know what it is. Let's get it. Hey, locker room. Yeah, we in the locker room. Texas talk. Yeah, you know what we about to do. Localize every angle.
It is the locker room, number one source for Texans digital content. I am Landry Locker. Happy Thanksgiving to you. It was a busy day for the Houston Texans. Demeco Ryans spoke. Bobby Slowik spoke. CJ Stroud spoke. We heard from pretty much the most, all three, I would say the three most important Houston Texans at the moment that we want to hear from. You can see CJ Stroud walk into the podium. I had a specific question for CJ Stroud. I want you guys to tell me how you would answer this or how you would describe this. What is Houston Texans football? It's been the word uncharacteristic has been thrown out there when talking about the Texans. Juice Scruggs has said it. Other guys have said it. So I'm asking you, what is Houston Texans football? If I asked you to describe Houston Texans football, how would you describe what Texans football is to you? First, let's hear from Bobby Slowik. A lot of people want to hear from old Bobby Slowik. Let's hear what Bobby Slowik had to say when he met with the media today.
Damn it, Bobby.
One touchdown on offense.
That'll be the final question. And I think you'll like that one. But this is Bobby Slowik walking to the podium. He was kind of calling out my Mike Oscar. It's not calling out. He was confused. Vanderpump Pets. But here's Bobby Slowik.
The only one I didn't get. What was that?
It's a dog charity.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like rescue?
Yeah.
That's cool. That's awesome. There's some good stuff over there. That was pretty cool. Sorry. Fire away.
To execute the offense and run the plays that you want to run when you're getting the kind of penetration, especially in the middle, it's pretty immediate with guys like Sweat and Simmons, who obviously are tough guys to block.
Yeah, you referenced in the last game, I assume. Yeah, I mean, really, I thought our protection was pretty good until the fourth quarter. I thought we did what we wanted to do in the pass game. We needed to run the ball better early on. And eventually you play, it's really a front four. All four of their guys are really good. That's why they're in second and third downs and number one in pass defense. They have a very good rush, and we're aware of that. We have a lot of different protection things we had built into the plan, but eventually, when those guys get one-on-ones and you have to throw enough, good players are going to be good players. So it's something you're very aware of as a whole offense, not just as guys up front. And I thought we did a good job of handling that through the course of the first three quarters, from the O-line to the quarterback understanding where he had to get to and when we had to get the ball out. And then by the time we got to the fourth quarter, eventually it just caught up to us, especially at those last three plays.
What do you think will be the key to getting Mixon back on track this week?
Yeah, he's really – we've only had two games, I think, where he's played and hasn't got 100 yards, that being Detroit and this last one. And those, I would say, were probably the two games us as an offense would look at ourselves and say we did our worst job in the run game, starting with me and, the schemes we were doing and what we were trying to get done, and then how we executed them. This last game, just far too long.
They love the word execute out there. I want y'all to listen closely, though, to what Bobby's saying. There's some theories going around that this was almost like a desperation type of press conference. I don't know whether y'all agree with that, but let's hear some more from old Bobby Slowik.
Often we weren't blocking linebackers. Nobody's going to be able to run the ball well when we consistently have free linebackers. So that's it. Really just starts from there. I know head coaches reference it. It's the same message all the way through the team. Right now we're hyper focused on doing our job to the best of our ability to the smallest detail, and that's what has shown up when we've had issues.
It's been, last year you all were piecing together an offensive line for much of the season, but you all found a way. Why do you think it's been more difficult despite the consistency up until, Kenyon getting hurt?
Yeah, I'm pretty positive our offense is better right now. I think outside of –
Hold up. He thinks the offense is better this year than last. I just don't agree. Maybe you can dig up some sort of numbers. I think there's probably some sort of skewage in the numbers. I just don't agree, especially with the way the second half offense is. I do not agree with that. I can't agree with that. But continue.
Of some abnormal second half situations, like everyone talks about all the bad. Like, we do some incredibly special things for really half to 3/4 of the game. I mean, we're like 4th in points in the first half, and I don't even think we're good in the red zone in the first half. So there's a whole lot out there still. Like, we do some really good stuff.
It's sad when you're saying we're not good in the red zone in the first half to defend your offense.
And we have an immense amount of penalties that last year we weren't, I would say, as undisciplined in that regard, like just being willing at times to understand when I have to let up. And we've had a whole lot of errors that we've continued to try to clean up and has led to a lot of inconsistency. And last year we had some of that, but not as much, I would say, would be the one difference. But beyond that, like I think all of us in the room, when we get together in our offensive room, there's a lot of belief that what we're doing right now and where we're going, like we'll be fine.
Wow.
Like in the interior, I know you all had like a lot of changes there. Starting Kenyon and then having Juice at center after he had played left guard. But why do you feel like there has been?
I like Alexander's style, man.
Yeah, I don't. I would say there's been inconsistency across the whole offense. I don't believe I said anything about the interior guys. It's really just everywhere across the offense. We got a fatal error somewhere along the way at a critical
it's everybody.
spot, and I think a lot of times it's easy to see the guys up front. That's the easiest place to see where something falls apart or breaks down. But there's some run plays where our track's off. There's some run plays where, we're not necessarily blocking the edge player like we're supposed to, whether it's a tight end or receiver position. There's some protections that look like issues where a route needs to be different or the ball should be out. So there's a lot of different things when you got 11 guys on the field trying to execute a play at the same time. I would say as far as the interior three goes, it's the same message as the whole offense. Like, we just have to do our job more often to the smallest detail.
After the game, CJ Stroud was tough on himself, and especially for a couple of the interceptions, and so he's not playing to his standard. How do you look at CJ's season and context, and also some of the picks that are uncharacteristic of him?
I laugh because I know CJ is probably going to say it's not to his standard if it's not like a Hall of Fame year. Like, he just has incredible expectations for himself. We all do. And that's, I talked about it before, like, that's why we love him, because he absolutely will carry the burden of whatever he needs to carry to get a win. And sometimes even, we're like too much, where it needs to back off a little bit. Like, CJ's doing a really good job. He's growing. Like, I know the games have gone certain ways in certain moments that, maybe it doesn't seem that way, but the stuff he's doing on the practice field for multiple weeks now, some of the plays he's making in the games, really, if he could take, I wouldn't even say two, if there was like one play he could take back from last game. Other than that, he played pretty spot on, and that's all you could ask for from your leader. He's going to challenge himself to be better.
He's got to be better. Like,
we got to be better around him. I got to do a better job with some of the play calls for him. But what he's doing on the practice field these last few weeks is it's a matter of time. It's going to show.
Okay. Does it not seem like he said we'll be fine? He said it's going to show. Does it almost seem like he's kind of justifying what's going on, almost like you're trying to explain it? Does it not feel like that? I promise you, y'all are going to get the question you want. After all this, I promise all this stuff that y'all are getting frustrated about in the chat, the final question of the presser, you'll get the right question. I promise you, with all this. But here's some more from Bobby. I think good job by Jonathan Alexander, Stoots doing their thing, asking this.
Do you see a change in the way that teams approach you or play you in the second half that have led to some of the second half issues?
I wish I did. Like, I really wish I did. It's more You know, we've been talking about this for the whole season. I feel like at this point, we've tried all kinds of different things. We will continue trying a lot of different approaches in a lot of different areas until something fits. But at the end of the day, what happened in the second half was we had an immense amount of penalties.
Dude, it's not one game, man. And I like Bobby, but it's not one game. It's nearly half the season that you've struggled in the second half. So we're talking like this is just last game. It's a pattern, man.
We're bad on third down and we couldn't run the ball. And it doesn't matter if you play second half, first half, you play at noon or you play at 7 p.m. like that, that's going to be bad football. And that's really what it is when you go back and you look at it. Every second half hasn't been bad. The ones that have been bad, we played bad football. And they've been doing really what we expect them to do. And that where I think early on kind of led to frustration that I'm sure everybody felt from just us as an offense. And now it's really like we're into December football mode. And we know what we've been doing in practice. We know what we've been doing in the meeting rooms. We know where we feel like we're going and how close we are at any given moment.
We're close.
I mean, how close we were to even just winning that game.
He says we're close. We were close to winning that game. How close we are in the moment. Like there's
if you take a penalty away. So, you know, we're right now it's just a matter of we have a lot of belief in each other, and we're excited to play December football and showcase that to everybody.
How necessary is this bye week for the offense right now? Just not only physically, just mentally to maybe regroup.
Yeah, I mean, like our mindset right now is everything we got on Jacksonville, as you guys can imagine. You know, I mean, it's we use the phrase "empty the tank." Like, give it all you got. Because after this, it's literally a one-game season, and we can think about the rest later. And that's kind of where all of us are. I would say I haven't even realized it till someone told me this week that we've really been going from the Hall of Fame game to now, which is probably the longest stretch I've gone.
Oh, wow.
Through a season.
Long stretch now, man.
Without anything like that. But I really, like, it just, honestly, it seems so far out there, it's hard to even get there yet, you know? So we got to do everything we can to get a W on Sunday.
Last three, Kim, Landry, sorry.
Hey, Bobby, I know we ask this all the time, but one of the things you said again today is the penalties, right? That's the thing you look at. Well, what happens in the second half or when things go off the rail? What do you do as a coach to try to impact the penalties to make the change? I mean, I know you guys are trying to figure it out all season, but how do you handle that?
Yeah, I think there's multiple ways. You know, it starts with just everybody being accountable. You know, I know we had a 3rd and 6 in the second half that we get a pre-snap penalty on, move back to 3rd and 11. We get another pre-snap penalty. We move back to 3rd and 16. Like, we only have so many ops at 3rd and 16 we're going to convert. And I think on that one we actually had a chance. We just didn't make the play. But you can only overcome yourself so many times. And we've been through this story so much this year. Everyone understands the repercussions. Like, everyone's extremely accountable in our room and understanding, like, what they can and can't do and how it affects everyone around them and how important that is. But also, when you strain so hard, as everyone knows, like, as you strain so hard, you got to learn sometimes when's the right time. Like, when do I have to stop? Or when do I have to make sure that, man, I got some cue or I got some word where I got to chill out for a second on some of this pre-snap stuff. Like, there's a lot of different things that go into that. We've talked about a lot of them as coaches. I know they've talked about it a lot, probably more than we have as players, because we know it's not who we are. Like, it's not, and we don't do it in practice. And the fact that it shows up in games is something that we got to continue to work through. And really, we've had multiple games back to back. It has not been an issue for a while, and it reared its head at home, which probably the most frustrating part is we're at home, you know, and that should be to our advantage.
See, here's the thing, and we'll get the final question from Bobby, because I think a lot of y'all are frustrated in the chat. A lot of y'all probably didn't hear the whole press conference, but I think what we've seen and what we've heard so far, it is the Locker Room, #1 source for Texans digital content. Appreciate y'all for coming through. SNL still going tomorrow on Thanksgiving. We're going to lay that down. So if I know you're going to need some Texans content, Locker, Stoots, Texans on all podcast platforms are right here live on YouTube. So we've heard Bobby Slowik talk about we're close. We've heard him talk about we're going to be fine. We've heard him talk about how great they practice. We heard him talk about how long they've been playing, going back to the Hall of Fame game and no bye week. And we've heard him say that, you know, penalties weren't a problem until this week, except they were. Like even the play that y'all kind of ignored the penalty, but you literally against the Cowboys, I think you're your top 5 most penalized team in the league right now. Your best left tackle leads the league in penalties. Y'all just kind of ignored that there was a 75-yard penalty on a Nico Collins touchdown. Y'all said how great the play was. And he was just a little bit downfield, and he knew immediately. Remember that? That was Slowik last week. He knew immediately. Okay, do you get a cookie for that, for knowing that you commit a penalty? So penalties have been a thing all week. The offense, this is not like a new thing. This is literally, it's Groundhog Day usually Thursday when we hear from Slowik, and the offense has the issues. And I'm not sitting here saying that Bobby Slowik doesn't have limitations that he's dealing with. I think it's obvious that the clear weakness of this team is the offensive line. I'm not saying CJ Stroud's playing perfect. I'm not saying that there's not reasons, but I mean, we all see these types of things, and we hear what the explanation is. And I think Bobby does a good job, though, of going up there and trying to explain it to the best of his ability. It's just sometimes the explanation doesn't make sense. It comes across as, man, sometimes when you listen to Bobby Slowik, I don't know about y'all, I only speak for me. Like, sometimes you find yourself saying, man, this guy's really smart. He knows what he seems like he's going to figure this out. And, you know, he knows how the game is. But then other times you say, damn, I've been trying to make sense of this offense and why it's so bad. And it makes sense because he doesn't sound like he knows what the hell he's doing. And that's the thing that's interesting to me. That's what's interesting. And Jeremy's saying Nico doesn't score without the penalty. You might be right. What is that supposed to mean, though? I mean, they talked about how great the play was. I think I don't know. I mean, I don't know whether he does or doesn't. I mean, you could be right. I don't know. My whole point is that they talked about the score like it was great. But I digress. But sometimes when Bobby talks, it's just like, man, today it just seemed like he was trying to justify his existence. But I was sitting there and I thought it was interesting. And this wasn't as interesting as Demeco's press conference. I don't know what the hell that was today. But I'm sitting there listening to Bobby Slowik, and you know, he's using the word abnormal when describing the offensive struggles. He's saying abnormal. He's saying that's not us. He's saying all this type of stuff. And I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, well, it's kind of normal. Over 1/3 of your games, and you haven't even played a large chunk, you haven't scored in the second half. You're near the top of the league in penalties. You've acknowledged that you don't have a good red zone offense, but you're confident and you're close. So my question was pretty easy. You say all these things. What makes you so confident to say that? Here was the question I asked Bobby Slowik after everything that y'all just heard.
The last, I think y'all have one touchdown on offense the last 6 weeks in the second half, and you've used the word abnormal, and you've said that's not who we are. With that large of a sample size, what makes you so confident that it's not who you are and it's abnormal?
The tape. I mean, just when you watch the film, you could see how close. Just like the first half when we make plays, the second half we haven't been making plays. I know our quarterback's history is that he's an extremely, extremely efficient and good 2-minute quarterback, and that's not going to go anywhere. And I mean, how close we are, really, really throughout the season on a lot of these plays in the second half is we're right there. And you know, you don't just change because all of a sudden he blows a whistle at halftime and we go in the locker room for 2 minutes and come out and now we're completely different people. You know, like we believe in the process.
I just don't know. I've never heard like halftime just so minimized. Maybe that's a problem. Like maybe it's just not. Maybe it should be a bigger deal. You know, maybe you should look at it as more than just blowing a whistle. And I'm micro analyzing what he's saying, but it's based on the actions. You know, and how bad this offense is in the second half. But I mean, if you look at it as just they blow the whistle and we go in, maybe that's part of the problem.
All of a sudden he blows a whistle at halftime and we go in the locker room for 2 minutes and come out and now we're completely different people. You know, like we believe in the process, and the process here is very sound, and our players believe in the process. And like I said, like we can see it. It's been different the last 3-4 weeks, and eventually it's just the nature of sports that's going to manifest itself on the field.
All right. So it's going to manifest itself on the field. That's what he's saying. We'll see. I don't think the Jacksonville game really is going to change anything one way or the other. They suck. So there it is. That's Bobby Slowik. Don't know how that makes you feel. Look, it kind of is what it is with the offense. But that's what Bobby Slowik had to say. But I will disagree. Like, it's not abnormal. You know, like the that's not who we are. Like when Demeco says that about the defense, yeah, you're right. Y'all are good. That's not who we are. That's Texans football. When I asked CJ Stroud what Texans football was, we'll hear from Demeco in a sec. I was a little bit confused by him, to be honest with you.
There's a video of Will walking off the field.
But we'll hear him first. I think Sarge is asking about his relationship with Will Anderson. And then I just ask him just straight up, what is Texans football? You'll hear what CJ had to say in a sec live in the locker room.
After the game together, how important has he been for you and your growth this season?
He's been huge, you know. He's been amazing. You know, he's been able to not only just help me in football, but, you know, in our walk with the Lord. And that's been very big. And also, you know, just we go through a lot of the similar things, you know, being the youngest in our family, a lot of people depending on us, you know, a lot of that weight. So we've been able to talk to each other about those things as well, you know. So there's a lot of just brotherhood with me and him, and I have a lot of love for him and just really appreciative of, you know, him building me up and then also being honest with me.
All right, so we'll get the football thing. Let's go to the super chat real quick. Kevin Smith says, we just got to focus and execute the process. SMDH. Damn it, Bobby.
Damn it, Bobby.
Yeah. So what is Texans football? Let's hear CJ.
Uncharacteristic and the mistakes. What would you say is Houston Texans football?
Smash mouth, swarm mentality. You can go on and on. I mean, explosive. And I think we've aced a lot of those things, but it's the in-between, you know, when they do play whatever coverage and it's not there, just taking the check down or I'm talking for myself. And, you know, just the little fundamentals of the game, I think, is where we can get better at.
I think he needs a break, man. CJ needs a break, man. I think he does. And I mean, you just gotta win. I'd smash mouth, I guess, is running the rock. I don't know. I mean, I don't think this is a smash mouth team. I think this is really, really good defensive team. I think the swarm mentality is in check. I think Demeco does a good job of overseeing that, but don't know. Speaking of Demeco, in SNL tomorrow, 9:00, we're gonna lay that down. We'll have some content for you. Speaking of Demeco, though, I thought it was really interesting today. You know, Demeco on Coffee with the Coach with Mark Vandermeer and John Harris. Shout out to them. Texans YouTube channel. Love both those guys. You know, I basically said that the Tennessee Titans game was normally you just kind of flip the page, but it was different. So I figured that based on actual words, you know, that maybe the Jacksonville game would be a little more important too, and not just another game. So I asked Demeco Ryans that question. This is what Demeco, no O in Demeco, my bad. Just like Dirk Nowitzki early in his career, he was Irk because he had no defense, no D. Demeco, my bad. Early in his career, there's not a lot of O right now. So we'll call him Demeco, my bad. But this was Demeco Ryans when asked about that. We went a little coaching hardo here.
Extra importance in getting out of this current funk, heading into the bye. Is there any extra importance on this game?
It's important as our next game. I don't know how you put extra importance on any game.
I don't know. You just heard him right there. And I don't know how you put any extra importance on any game. Okay.
Every game is important. That doesn't change. Every time I step in front of our team, every game is important. It doesn't change just, because we lost now is more important. Well, when we win, just as important as well. Every game matters, and you want to, of course, win as many as you possibly can by going out and playing the game the right way.
All right, so he said that, and that's fine. But, Coach, you said that the Tennessee game was different than just one, which is why I asked the question. And when you say, I don't know how any game can be considered more important, let's hear what you said 100 feet down the hall 2 days earlier about the Tennessee game.
It's extremely tough, and I'm not letting this one go. This will be a week-long one that I make sure we all remember. And so, we gotta change. We gotta play better. Right. So this one is gonna sit with me all week until we get the opportunity to go out and compete again versus the Jaguars. So I want this to sit. I want this to sting all week for our guys, and I want everybody to feel. I know that's how I'm going to be feeling all week until we are able to go and change it.
And I've heard Nick Bosa say that as well this year, and we've actually brought it up, and I've actually asked Demeco about it. So it's interesting to me because it's not necessarily like it's not an I got you thing. But I think what Demeco Ryans says is important. I know that a lot of times these press conferences are inconvenient. I wouldn't like them if I were a head coach, so I understand that. But what he says is important. Like it's not about like some sort of clip thing. It's not about anything. It's about that you're speaking to your fans. And there's a lot of fans who live and die this stuff. And when you say how much that one hurt, and I think a lot of the fans can relate to that, man. Like, and that's kind of the Nick Bosa theory. But I know how Demeco handles usually losses. Normally he says that, you just move on to the next one and you flush it and you forget about it. He has a 24-hour rule. I know his philosophy. It's not to play I gotcha. It's just I know his philosophy. So when he says what he just said, and let's just hear the very beginning of that again. When he says what he said,
tough, and I'm not letting this one go. This will be a week-long one that I make sure we all remember.
Okay, so it's one that we all remember. It's a week long. It's not the same as any one. So I asked him this question, and look, I'm not trying to put your back against the wall. I asked the question. I don't expect an answer. You give the answer you give, but when you're going to just sit there and act like it's just asinine that some dumbass, dorky media guy is asking the question like he just doesn't get it, like every game is the same. No, you said that the last one was different. So I'm just asking. So, like, maybe it would have been just a simple, like it was actually like a lob. Like it was actually just a lob up there for Demeco. He could have two-hand Sean Kemp nuts to the face that question, and it could have just been a perfect collaboration. Like, yes, this game is extremely important. We're heading into the bye week. We just let one get away from us against a division opponent. That one stung more than a lot of them. And we've got to, it would be very, very beneficial to us with the lead in the division to get the dub and head into the bye week ready to go and healthy and getting this win to where we can kind of recharge and then go win the division and start playing football at the right time. That's easy. That's easy. But I ask like the easy question, like the easiest question. And it's like, you're a chump. You're a chump, man. Like what kind of idiot are you to even consider that these games aren't all the same and you don't flush it away?
It's extremely tough, and I'm not letting this one go. This will be a week-long one that
Okay. So then why is this just asinine to think that this one might kind of elevate?
Extra importance in getting out of this current funk, heading into the bye. Is there any extra importance on this game?
it's important as our next game. I don't know how you put extra importance on any game. Every game is important. That doesn't change. Every time I step in front of our team, every game is important. It doesn't change just, because we lost now is more important. Well, when we win, they're just as important as well. Every game matters, and you want to, of course, win as many as you possibly can by going out and playing the game the right way.
All right, so that's okay. Okay. Well, this is why I asked it. I got to tell you now, my friend, this is why I asked it. So this was the follow-up to that. It's not, I got you. It's just the explanation of it.
You said with Mark and John the other day that this Titans one stung a little bit more, and usually you move on and it stung a little bit more. Why did that one sting a little bit more than maybe previous ones?
Yeah, that game for me, our game last week was, as I talked about for a couple of days now, that it's the mistakes that we made. Everything was about us, and that's solely on us, and the mistakes that we made is why we didn't win that game.
Yeah. I mean, that's all I wanted to know. Like, is this one more important given the fact that that one was more frustrating? Like, do you feel like there's like an increased importance? There's not really like an I got you media feel here or anything like that. It's very easy. What Demeco says matters. That's really all there is. Like, as far as the ideal answer here, I saw Dimas. There's no ideal answer. I don't have an ideal answer. Like, I don't expect like all players to do the same thing. I don't expect all coaches to do the same thing. I just know what Demeco's philosophy has been. And naturally, I thought that if the philosophy of we flush it out the next day was gone, and this one was going to sit for a week, that this one would increase. I was just kind of surprised. Like, I didn't think I was asking a chump question. Like, so I just kind of explaining instead of, hey, bitch, is what basically he said to me. Hey, punk, why would any other game matter more than the next one? This is why, because I heard you say that, sir. That's it. So we'll see how it goes. With Demeco, I'm rooting for him, man. I'm rooting for this offense. Now, if they go beat Jacksonville, are all problems solved? No. They got to get the dub, though. We know his defense will be ready to go. We know it'll be ready to go. So it'll be interesting to see how this whole thing goes. The big news at practice, no Will Anderson today. I would think this would be a rest day for him. He's coming off the 2 sacks. So there's that. Jimmie Ward, he's practicing in the Jalen Petrie role. I actually put up the video at Landry Locker. The safeties are practicing. Jimmie's in like his own section. So there is that. Jimmie Ward's going back to the nickel. He was the 92nd ranked player in the entire NFL. Last time he was in nickel, 2022 at San Francisco. Of course they got to fill. I would hope that they think that stuff's going to get better. And I mean, I don't know. I don't think they're going to play like they did against the Titans against the Jags, are they? Who knows? Dunno. We'll see. Jimmie Ward is not Petrie at this point in his career. Okay, what does that mean? We've seen him in Petrie's role for about 2 quarters. Like, Petrie went out, 2-minute warning of the last game. Jimmie Ward went in at nickel. He had 3 TFLs and he had a pick 6 touchdown. He was 2 years ago in 2022. He was the best nickel in football. He was a 92nd ranked player in the NFL. So I guess Jalen Petrie is younger, but in that role, I mean, as good as Jalen Petrie's been, he's not better than what Jimmie Ward was in 2022. Is he? I mean, do you think he is? That wasn't too long ago. I mean, I don't like Jimmie as a traditional safety. I think there is some issues. I mean, there are some limitations, but what more do you need to see? Like you're questioning his ability at that. Let me check this out. Oh, that's 2022 right there. That was when they brought him in. 96. My bad. I said 92. That's top 100 player right there in this role. He didn't want to play it. That's a top 100 player though. And the small sample size we have is in pick 6. Depth-wise, it's not good. Eric Murray's definitely not Jimmie Ward, so there's kind of a snowball effect to it. But I mean, I don't question Jimmie Ward in that nickel role. Jimmie Ward is a damn monster in the nickel role. He's insane in that. Now, can he hold up? I don't know. I mean, that's a lot to ask. I mean, especially for a guy who's had trouble staying healthy, he's involved in more plays. It's a lot more violent. But if you're questioning Jimmie Ward as far as like the player Jalen Petrie is, I think he's pretty damn good in that nickel. He just doesn't play it. So, yeah, we'll see how it goes. We'll see what it looks like. But Demeco Ryans, just another game because it's the next one. Bobby Slowik seems very confident that the offense is going to be back. And CJ Stroud, he described Texans football. Don't know if y'all felt like that or not. Arts by Beware says that I look like the Ravens coach. John Harbaugh? All white guys look alike. That's all you had to say. It's all good. Appreciate y'all for coming through. Subscribe, like, right along. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone, to Demeco, to CJ, to Bobby, and most importantly, to you guys. Hope y'all enjoy it. We'll be back tomorrow. We also got SNL in the morning. Gonna talk to Cody Stutes and get to the bottom of that. So we will see how that goes. Appreciate y'all for coming through the locker room. Be sure to subscribe, like, and subscribe to SNL on all podcast platforms. Appreciate you.
Localize every angle's what we really do. We the source, we the pulse of the city too. Landlocked, got the game in the headlock. Localize every time, can't stop, won't stop. Yeah, we top 2 and we not too. Plugged in daily digital on YouTube. We got taste for days, opinions to give, we got takeaways. If it's up, then it's up, we number 1. You don't need to try your luck. Locker room, yeah, we in the locker room. Texas talk, yeah, you know what we about to do. Localize every